So this is gonna be another one from Ray Dalio's Principles. And with this being said, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. Again, for just a very, very short amount of time, I actually thought about not saying the F word because I don't know, like it's directly into the people's face, and maybe some don't like it, and I think this could actually fuck with them, but yeah, I still said it, and I'm so fucking happy to actually be here and being able to actually record this episode. I do not actually know why. Maybe it's just because so much fun for me. I really love to talk about these things. I really do. I really honestly do. I'm just looking for where I've actually stopped yesterday. I don't actually know. This is a little problem, but I guess I'll just totally find it. But I've been having a quite amazing day. Like, I do just only have to record this episode for 30 minutes, and then I do just have to upload it, which is quite like, automated. I do not have to do anything, and I just, merely do just have to make the description and also the tags and the thumbnail, and then I'm actually ready or just finished for today. And I think it's not going to take me so long, which is incredibly great because I went home. I've already done all the posts, and I've already scheduled them for tomorrow in school because I actually had, a few hours of time, because, at the time they're actually at the A levels, and a lot of teachers aren't there because they have to be at the A levels, and therefore they can't just actually kind of be in class, when I'm having the class, and it's quite great for me because I can do something else. I'm actually never ever doing it. Like, I'm always doing what I should be doing in school because I actually don't know. I actually don't know, even though it doesn't make any fucking sense to do it. But this time I've actually decided to actually make the posts so that I'm just saving a lot of time, because I knew I do just have to work out today, and this is gonna take a lot of time. So it's at least taking an hour of my time, which is still something. Which totally is still something, which also led to me not being quite able to sleep in a proper time or at a proper time because I had to work out or because I wanted to work out. And yeah, it's still some time, and yeah, I'm saving this time by actually me doing the posts before and whatsoever. So at the end, I really just had an amazing day. I really just had a very, very efficient day. And I'm gonna continue this efficient day by making this episode a pretty fucking great one. But yeah, let's actually see where I have stopped. Radical transparency lets everyone see everything. Have I been gone through this already? I know that managing meetings, suggestions, the tactics, stop, use 2-minute rule, to neutralize, say I'm sorry, blah, I've gone through this, get leveraging on you by sharing, communication meant to educate should involve more people than meant to arrive at the best answer, undermine more. Yeah, actually, we are going ahead with radical transparency, lets everyone see everything, because this is honestly where I've stopped yesterday, which is quite amazing that I actually, first of all, remember that I've just found it so pretty quickly. I hope that you're having a great day as well, because mine is incredibly great. Like, for sure, there are some days that are pretty great, and there are some days that are not as great. Still, I somewhere read, or I have heard, or I don't actually know. It's a pretty big problem. You might know that I often don't know where I've got the information from and all these kind of sayings from. But someone said that there is no bad day, which is actually a great saying, because there is actually no bad day. Because he said, or actually she said, I don't remember correctly, that there are only good days and days you can learn from. And or in general, I would actually say that you can learn from every single day. So at the end, you do just, have days you learn on, whether it's a good day or it's a bad day. And sometimes even the bad days are the days where you learn even more, which is quite great, and which is really great, because you learn something, and this is always great. I'm just having to figure out how I'm gonna do it with delight today, because couldn't I do it like this? Yeah, I could. Is this making it better? A little bit. Actually, a little bit. But it still would be great to have it in front of me. But yeah, it's really making it better, because there is the window and there is then the light. And so it's good. But let's actually see what he is saying. So at Bridgewater, which is actually his company, if you don't know, this means all meetings and interviews are recorded. Talking behind someone's back is being a slimy... So talking behind someone's back is being a slimy weasel and is fireable. A dot collector makes assessments of each person visible in real time. Baseball cards show each person's strengths and weaknesses, which is actually an analogy I do know by now. I've actually, all the time. I all the time think about analogy, metaphor, and all these great things and all these great words that really can make communication a lot easier. I always forget them, or I mix them up, which is, neither is good of it. But the whole baseball card analogy and the baseball card thing in general is something that he was kind of teaching and showing and talking about quite often, also in terms of your personal life and dealing with people there. But I think it's more applicable in terms of actually you managing people, because it makes sense. If you just really have people and you categorize them somehow into baseball cards, which means, okay, these are the creators, and these are the visionaries, and these are the executors, and these are the engineers, and these are whatsoever. At my point of view, and also he, I think, has pointed out, it makes it way easier to see which group, quote unquote, of people actually can work together pretty nicely and harmoniously. Because, for sure, you can just generalize it, which is actually the thing that he was doing, I guess. He was actually like, okay, those people who have great vision really like to just work together with people who like to build something and to create something, which means like everybody gets something. The builder gets something to build, and the visionary gets something built, which is great. And it makes it way easier if you categorize people with baseball cards, quote unquote, or you just give them certain attributes, or you just kind of note their strengths and weaknesses, that you can actually be pretty great and at actually managing your people, because you can be like, okay, this person is good at this and that, so he or she should basically or probably work together with this person, because this person is actually somehow quite the opposite. Like, the strengths is kind of compromising the weaknesses of the other person, and whatsoever. I know, and I think that you just get what I mean, which is actually quite great. Even though in terms of actually on a human being level, it somehow is a little bit strange, because you talk about people like objects and like But at the end, it's basically about their strengths and weaknesses, which is never something bad. This has benefits in reducing politics, since everything's in the open, reducing bad behavior since it can be monitored, contrary to lawyers' advice, recording meetings limited bad behavior and protected them when accused of something they didn't do, which is actually right, because if you really record everything, you always know who said something or who said what. And then you can be like, okay, this person said something bad, or this person said something completely stupid. Maybe I should educate them more. And there's not going to be any kind of, misunderstandings. Prevents the syndrome of people doing two jobs, the actual job and the job of managing others' impressions of how they are doing their job. Justice is more likely to prevail instead of decisions being made behind closed doors by the powerful. Creating training scenarios where employees can simulate responses in real situations, and using the insights of all members to solve problems. Which is actually good if you're really honest and really truthful and open and open-minded with everybody else. Like, it's been something that I've been talking about quite for a long time, I think yesterday, but I still think it is very, very just great. For sure, for some people it's, it's gonna take some time until they actually somehow get used to it. Like just being very open and or so open and transparent, I think is nothing that everybody is doing. And everybody is totally not doing in their private life and or in their personal life. But maybe you should do it as well, because there are benefits. And I don't know, are there any disadvantages of being very open with everybody and also receiving very open kind of sayings or answers? I don't know. Like, it could be great because you always know what the other person's up to. You always know what the other person is thinking. Like, not always. I think it's not meant to be like, okay, whatever you're thinking, you have to say, but you should just be open. Like, if you feel like that something is bad or something is good, you should say it. And this was also his concept, and I do think it is pretty valuable for a company and also for a leader, as well as I think for the employees, because but especially I would say for the leader, because he then sees like, okay, my workers, my employees are not pretty happy with this solution that I made. And if everybody is like, okay, boss or Ray Dalio or Ray, whatever they're actually saying to him, it wasn't a good idea what you did, it was even a bad idea, then he might think about it. If every single employee of his is actually coming up to him and or in a meeting is, being to him like, okay, it was not a good decision. It totally wasn't. Maybe he will think about it, and he probably will. Like, if every single person is talking about it and is thinking about it just negatively, there might be something about it. But it, in terms of your personal life, only because people say you can do it, which is probably a thing that will happen often. Like, my parents, to be honest, also don't like what I'm doing here. They also think, I guess, they've been speaking about it like pretty lightly. So my mother totally like, and I really honestly appreciate it, and I'm very grateful for this. She said like, she doesn't understand why I'm doing this. And I really get it. Like, a lot of people won't understand why I'm doing this. And it's definitely not about the money, and it might be about actually having a job in the future. And it might actually be about building something for me, because I definitely want to build something for me, but it is not about the money, It is also about just doing something and having to do something all day long and quite all the time. It can be something stressful sometimes. It's, completely, to completely be honest, it is something stressful sometimes, but I really hate not having to do something. And what I'm doing right here and all the posts that I'm doing and whatever I'm doing around this whole thing just really helped me kind of solve this problem, because I do have to do something all the time. Like, there is something to do all the time, whether it is actually cutting something, editing something, making a post, making a video, just being on social media, checking the comments, checking other people out, commenting on other people's posts. There's always something to do. And once I do not want to do it anymore, like once I just, have enough of making the video, I'm just doing something else. And like, maybe I'm doing the post and maybe I'm just chilling, which is also totally okay. But she said she doesn't get it. But she still said that she won't interfere. She won't be like, no, you're not allowed to do this. She will let me. She will let me unless, everything is okay. Like with school and whatsoever, everything should be quite okay. And I'm very, very grateful for this. I'm really, really fucking grateful for this, because it's not what all the people and all the parents are saying. A lot of parents, as I know, and as other people just, talk about it and think about it, a lot of people and parents are like, okay, it doesn't make any fucking sense. You shouldn't be doing it. I don't know, still, I guess that a lot of parents know what it is all about and that you can actually make a living on this fucking platform here. Whether it be on the podcast, if you're listening to the podcast, or if it was about the YouTube video, you can still make a living out of this. And the question is, how long you can, like, when is it going to end? And hopefully it will never end, because it is a great platform and it is a really great solution for a lot of people at my point of view. But let's see. Let's actually see. Few exceptions for transparency. When information is private or personal and doesn't impact the community at large, for example, health, which is actually true. Like, fully being transparent, I've been talking about this quite before, does not always have to be quite good. Like, if it is really something that does really not impact the whole community, and or that does not really just give any value to the community, like talking about your parents and talking about your health and whatever it will be, it's not always great. When info puts the long-term interest of the organization or its clients at risk, for example, trade details, IPs, security, audits of departments, totally makes sense. When value is low but distraction risk is high, e.g. Compensation. People who lose their privilege no longer get transparency and don't share information with the organization's enemies. Actually makes sense. Like, even though just being very transparent, you shouldn't be pretty transparent to the outside, I think. Being transparent in the inside is totally great, but to the outside, not so. Which is definitely obvious, but I still just really, I'm really appreciating that he is pointing it out. Even though it might be, and this is important, it might be obvious for some people. And I hope that I'm not actually getting into kind of whistling, because it's quite late and there are people around sleeping and I do not want to be too loud, but still I want to have the whole impact of my voice, because it totally makes a difference whether I'm whistling or talking normally. So it totally makes sense. Like, why the fuck would you just really share your valuable information and, your very kind of secure information with your fucking enemies? And last thing is, a flywheel effect exists with transparency. The more care you give each other, the tougher you can be on each other. The better you will perform and the more rewards you get. This somehow is pretty honest. I think this is also one of the reasons why you're actually tougher with your friends than with people you actually don't know. Because, you're being transparent, you're caring about each other, you're pretty close to each other. And I guess this just, having such a relationship within your company and within your culture, or as your culture, should be pretty great. I guess, at least, because if everybody's like friends and everybody's tough or tougher to each other, I think it can create a lot of opportunities and a lot of ideas and a lot of just goodness. Somehow. Like, I really feel like this. Like, and I think the fun is also much higher. And this is also something that's very, very important for me, actually. I haven't been a leader, and I've definitely not been managing any people, maybe in the micro, but not in a really big, just, really big thing. Like, I'm not having a team, I'm not having something like this, but I still think, I don't know why. I really don't know why, but I still think that having just a culture of friends in your company is something pretty great. Even though, on the other hand, it could be something totally fucked up as well. If it is really like, okay, we are just, so close friends, and if somebody's actually firing me, I'm gonna be pissed. And the other person that is actually firing you is also gonna be pissed, because they probably won't like to do this. Like, because you're friends and whatever. But I actually think that I have to, I'm gonna move this small little but still amazing light to here, to quite in front of me, and I'm pretty much sorry for actually kind of interrupting the whole episode, but I still want you to be able to actually see me, and I guess I gotta have to turn on the light. Honestly, there are some days I'm not so fucking passionate about the episode or actually doing and making the episode than today. But it really is an amazing day today. Like, I really love it, and I'm really kind of feared even to end the fucking episode. when I'm 30 minutes in, which is actually in 10 minutes. So I do want to get some value for you in this episode. So caveats or caveats, it is actually spelled Caveats, which is warning, caution, admonition, red flag, alarm bells, provision. Dishonesty will happen. Decide per case on severity and circumstances. Get rid of habitual liars. Which is actually, you should never ever lie. Please don't lie. Just please don't lie. I think not even a lie that is actually making your life better. And still, a lot of people are like, I haven't been lying. I haven't just, told the whole truth or something like this, or I haven't been told everything, or haven't been telling everything actually, which is, I think, nowhere better. Like, for sure, it can be something better if something or someone is, really pissed or something, and it's only gonna make the whole situation way worse if you're saying everything. But just don't lie, I guess. It's really something that I think like you should not be doing. Somehow, I don't know. Leaks are fireable and public hangings need to happen. Adjustment time is needed. At Bridgewater, it can take 18 months to adjust. People can get involved in more things than they should. People who can't weigh information may draw the wrong conclusions. Yeah, it could always be the case that some people are getting it wrong. Actually, I'm sorry. I haven't been showing you. Here it is. Here it actually is. But let's move on. Believability, weighted decision making. And or weighted decision making is a dash between believability and weighted decision making. So once facts and viewpoints are put out there through radical truth, how do you reconcile them to make the best decisions? To maintain order and allow the best decisions to surface, people must agree on procedures to resolve disagreements and abide by the conclusions. At Bridgewater, the procedure they use is believability, weighted decision making. So weigh the options of more believable decision makers more heavily than less capable ones, which totally makes sense. And he actually was speaking about it a little bit before, so I think it was in not yesterday's episode, but it might have been in Sunday's episode. I actually wanted to do something else today. I didn't actually want to go through the Ray Dalio summary once again this day, but it is a great summary. And I've been speaking about it yesterday. If I'm actually kind of treating every single episode somehow just separately, I think it's not that bad. It's really not that bad as treating everything like a whole piece. It's still a whole piece because everything is somehow hanging together, or somehow everything is being influenced by other things and whatsoever. But still, I'm really trying to actually make episodes that are somehow, compromising certain insights of this book summary from the alancheng.com website, by the way, which is an incredible website. And so that you can actually be sure, like, okay, I'm watching this episode, I'm still getting something out of it, even though I haven't been gone through another one. So weigh the options of more believable decision makers more heavily than less capable ones. The most believable opinions come from those who, first of all, have repeatedly succeeded at the thing in question. The second thing, can logically explain their conclusions. So there are two things. They have repeatedly succeeded at the thing in question, and the second one is, can logically explain their conclusions. Baseball cards and dot collectors serve this. If you are less believable, if you can't successfully do something, it's arrogant to tell others how it should be done. So if you can't successfully do something, it is arrogant to tell others how it should be done. It actually is, and I've been actually thinking about it when I actually was working out, which is an hour ago, just an hour ago or something. I was been thinking about it. I was been thinking about people who actually want to tell me how I should do my exercises. I've been working out now for more than 3 years. consistently. Like, for sure, I had some times where I were ill, sometimes more, sometimes less, but this year I'm pretty much doing quite well. I'm really doing quite well, and I'm very happy for this. But there are still some people who just want to teach you how you should do your things, and then I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm not teaching you how you should do things that you're good at, because for sure, and this is also something that was in this summary, he said that people not always want to give advice, and people sometimes only want to double check their own thinking. Like, sometimes I didn't really get the point that he was making, but it somehow makes sense to me. But I think like you shouldn't take it too personally. Like, people want to help, people want to talk, and people really want to talk even though they just don't know any fucking shit about what you're doing or what it is all about, or maybe a tiny little bit. Even though you are the best at it, and even though you are the king at it, people will still come and tell you like, okay, you should do it this way. Maybe you should do it that way. Maybe this is better, and why you're doing this. I would find it better if you're doing it like this. It is also happening with me in terms of my posts. The posts that I'm putting out daily for, not a year, but it's gonna be a year pretty lately. Or, it's not gonna take that much time until I'm actually 1 year in, with at least, I guess, posting one picture a day. I don't actually know why I've started it. Maybe I actually wanted to build a site for myself, but I've really put it onto a way higher level when I've actually been discovering Gary Vee. To be honest, I've really been discovering him, and he was telling like, okay, you should totally put out content and as much as you can. And then I immediately, I think, started to put out at first 3 posts a day. Then I stepped it up to 8 or something, and then 10. And 10 was my maximum at the moment. I'm doing 8 because I've seen like, okay, 8 are enough. For sure, I'm getting higher results when I'm doing 10 because of the reach and because of the impressions and because of the likes. Because the total likes will just be higher because you have 2 more posts, and if these posts get at least 1 like, you're still getting theoretically 1 like more than without those, or 2 likes more without those posts. So yeah, but people really like to talk, and I think you shouldn't take it personally. You should think about it like, okay, people like to talk, I guess. And I should remember myself, or I should remind myself on this as well, actually, because it really can piss you on. It really can. And I get it. Like, I really get it. And I'm trying not to get just pretty pissed off then and just be like, shut the fuck up or something. I'm really trying not to be so explosive. If you're less believable, you can't successfully do something. If you can't successfully do something, it's arrogant to tell others how it should be done. Would you claim a better shooting technique than Steph Curry? Don't hold opinions about things you don't know anything about. In these cases, you're the student, spend more time asking questions to understand the logic. You also should not expect equal treatment of your idea for the teacher to try as hard to understand as you do her. This can waste time. So you also should not expect equal treatment of your idea for the teacher to try as hard to understand you as you do her. This can waste time. Stress test your ideas with other believable people, and your idea will become more believable, which is actually true, and which is actually something that I'm sometimes doing with my designs as well. Because if I'm designing something, and it's not always about actually doing something that's looking nice. For sure, aesthetics are very important, and I'm always trying to do something that looks great. But it's often about functionality, and if it is even working. It is often about if it is working or not, even though you might not think about it. We as a designer and as creators, we think about things on way higher levels than I think a lot of people are just, kind of, thinking about quite, I'm thinking whether this is working, whether the user experience is great, whether it makes sense that I'm placing this text there and whatsoever. I'm not doing it with the posts though. Like, if I'm doing something for a client or school or whatever it will be, I think differently than in school and than when I'm doing the posts. When I'm doing the post, I just merely try to do something new. I'm trying to learn something while I'm doing that. I'm also trying to just make something that's great, that looks great, that is somehow likable, and also something like that's different, maybe. But yeah, stress testing it is actually pretty fucking great. But now I've actually lost where I've. Yeah, there it is. So express the degree of conviction behind your beliefs, suggestion versus conviction. What actually is conviction? Declaration, pronouncement of guilt, sentence, judgment, belief, opinion, view, thought, persuasion, idea, position. This will make clear how strongly people should weigh your opinion. Listen to the reasonings more so than the conclusions. What data are you looking at? How do you draw your conclusions from the data? An inexperienced person may articulate clear reasoning and thus can be believable. How to make decisions. If the equal weighted and believability weighted votes align, the answer is easy and you move on. If they disagree, generally go with the believability weighted vote. Makes sense? In some cases, the responsible party can override a believability weighted vote, but at their own risk of being proven wrong by data and counter to the spirit of the idea meritocracy. If you do this, you should be able to define what specifically you disagree with, understand the risk of being wrong, and explain your logic to others. Know when to stop debating. Get the big things right and don't worry about perfectioning the small. But if you disagree on the importance of debating something, it probably should be debated. If the decision you wanted isn't finally decided, you must support it. Worry more about whether the system is fair than whether you get your way. The group cohesion supersets. It's not a superset. It replaces. It's super and SEDES. Your individual desire, which is, to end the episode, actually a pretty important point. To actually, even though you are the leader, doesn't always have to be about your thoughts and what you think about it and what you want to do. And yeah, I hope you have liked this episode, and I still wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And yeah, please remember or remind yourself on how you're gonna be remembered, because it is totally in your hands. It's totally in your hands how you're gonna be remembered. Whether you're gonna be remembered as a good person or as a bad person, you basically decide. You really decide. And with that being said, I wish you the best. Thank you very much for watching and or listening, and I'll see you the next time.